I love Scary Movie, like the franchise. And when I was younger, they were my go to comedy films for me, especially the second one and the fourth one. But I just knew that this new installment of Scary Movie 6 wasn't going to hit the same as the others, because that's just the norm for modern reboots and sequels nowadays. They collect quick checks and they almost always flop, because it's not the art that matters, it's all about that cash grab money. I still watched it with a clear mind and all, but not once did I laugh. This film specifically follows the Ghostface storyline from the Scream movie in 2022, where the OG cast of the Scream films comes back alongside a newer cast to take down the big bad guy. And in this scary movie, it's Ghostface, which has already been done before in the first one. Some of the films that were made fun of in this sixth installment were Scream, Terrifier, Sinners, K-pop Demon Hunters, The Substance, Weapons, John Wick, and Longlegs. There's other ones as well, but I just didn't want to say all of them. Now, the Scary Movie franchise specifically was big back in the day. It created a whole wave of other comedic films that did the same exact style, where they parodied other films, like the movie Epic Movie, Superhero Movie, Disaster Movie, etc. But what separated the Scary Movie franchise from the others was that they were genuinely funny, and they brought all these current Scary Movie storylines into one big story. They all had cheap looking production value that almost felt like a B movie, but that easily gave these films character and the comedy hits, which that's the most important part of a comedy. But not one joke landed with me in this one. Maybe once I laughed like John Anik, but that was it. I should have liked going back to the franchise that I loved so much as a kid, but what it felt like was going back to an ex, and like you're realizing that everything's off and it wouldn't be the same like it once was, so you regret ever meeting up. And you know what, that might have been a bit personal, but the comparison still stands. The jokes were modern, focusing heavily on politics, culture, and streaming, which with the rest breaking the fourth wall and making fun of the movie itself and the actors. And I love my comedy, so maybe it's just that I'm a hater of modern comedy, or maybe I have a real point about this, but this type of comedy, it just felt flat, it felt unseasoned, and just downright boring to what was previously made in the first four. There were tiny moments in the film where it did feel like the OG scary movies, but in tiny fractions of a conversation or in tiny fractions of a skit that they do. The other 95% of it feels like the complete opposite. That modern reboot style that has little to no passion behind it. There was some passion, at least in this film, because it did seem like that they were trying to keep the same feel from the other films, but none of it really stuck to the mold. Even the OG actors felt modern and out of place at times. The jokes that were political made fun of both sides, but it definitely felt like that they were joking a little bit more on one side than the other, so if you really care about that stuff, then... But the overall film stunk of modern cash grab slop with piss poor jokes that honestly ChatGPT might have made. The new cast were alright, but they felt off, and the OG cast felt like unks trying to relive the glory days, and that makes me feel, for some reason, sad and uncomfortable. The standouts in the entire film were the OG main characters of the original franchise, Cindy and Brenda. I mean, the entire franchise revolves around both of them, so it would make sense that they were by far the best aspect of the film. They kept to their original character traits while not being overtly obvious, unlike the others, but they still had character changes that actually did make sense to their story. They joked about the newer cast taking over the next films they make in the franchise, and that may honestly be the best joke in the entire film. Them thinking that this was going to greenlight more scary movie films. Like, if your rating is a 5 on IMDb after a week or two in the theaters, then chances are you probably should not make a sequel to that film. It's obvious that money was the cause for this installment, and if you can get rich quick, then why wouldn't you do it? So I understand from a business perspective why sequels and reboots are popular as of today, but in the perspective of art, they almost always fall flat, and they feel like a former shell of what it's trying to be, unless the person behind the movie is a diehard fan. Take Denis Villeneuve, for example. He was a massive fan of both the Blade Runner film and the Dune books as a kid. Then when he got older, he made the sequel to Blade Runner and is now finishing the trilogy to Dune. All projects are being praised by fans and cinephiles alike. He created peak content with passion, and he stuck to the lore of those stories, keeping true to the lore while also adding in the new with the visuals and stuff. Ironically, Scary Movie 6 was written by the OGs who wrote the previous ones, so it seems as though time hasn't been too well for them on the comedic side of things. The new installment brings in a lot of new, but it doesn't keep any of the old except for the OG cast. I believe what made the Scary Movie franchise unique was its creativity of how they made fun of these current scary movies while also being able to blend all the stories together into one. This specific film felt like a big joke of the Scream films with only minor references of the other scary movies that they make fun of. It's not a creative combination of stories. No creativity, no layers, just simple and easy writing for quick John Anik laughs. I want nothing more than films to thrive. And seeing reboot after reboot and sequel after sequel watering down the genius of what once was really makes me a sad cinephile, man. Thank the Lord that we have a revival and originality this year, but this film specifically is the sad face of the reboot and sequel era of filmmaking. And these types of films need to stop being made, period. I don't know about you guys, but I am ready to move forward. If you guys don't know how I rate things, I do a bit of it all. I will do a letterbox rating of 1 through 5. My letterbox account is linked down below in the description, so please go check that out. I will also do a classic rating of 1 through 10, a tier ranking of S through F, what this film is like, and who this film is for. So for my letterbox rating, I'm giving this a 1 out of 5. For my classic rating, I'm giving this a 1.5 out of 10. And if I were to rate this film with every other film in the world, it would definitely be in the F tier. This movie's like the X you get back with, but it's just not the same. This movie is disaster movie. This movie's like watching the new Crow film after being a Crow fan of the original film and the comics since you were a little kid. If you like John Anik laughs, modern reboots and sequels, cheesy comedy that revolves around sex and poop, then this film is for you. I love the Scary Movie franchise. I never watched the 5th one, but 1 through 4 is all you really need to watch. Scary Movie 6, you can dodge that crap and watch the 2nd or 4th one for a much better experience with actual laughs and comedic genius. So, what did you guys think of this film? Did you guys even laugh once? That's like a serious question. Did anybody laugh once in this whole film? Which one of the scary movies in the franchise is your favorite? For me, it's a tie between 2 and 4. Some days it's 4, some days it's 2. Also, I'm going to be making a video of my top 10 movies next, so be sure to watch that very soon. And don't forget to like and subscribe and comment down below of what you thought of the film. Take care, everybody, and God bless.